guys. So I wanted to come here because my inbox is starting to get full. People have been sending me, excuse me, excuse me. People have been sending me a lot of emails related to a post that Nick Barris has just dropped a couple hours ago. And so I don't know which way this goes. I know that there's always some concern when any type of remains are found in the state of Tennessee, whether or not they may or may not have anything to do with Sebastian's case. There has been several remains in Tennessee that have been found that we can absolutely state were not Sebastian. So I don't want people starting to get information out there that might not be truly accurate. So I don't know much, but we are going to research this stuff together. I'm going to first show you guys the post from Nick Barris. And let me blow it up so you guys can actually see it. There we go. There's nothing but cop, photo down below. And it says, 2 hours ago, skeleton investigation. So we're talking about skeleton. That means that it is presumed to have been there for a while. Okay. So you're talking skeleton investigation is there's nothing there but bone. Okay. In many cases, there may be still some soft tissue, but for many cases, it's truly just bone. So when I hear skeleton investigation, obviously bone structure does define whether you're a male or female with or without tissue. So I would assume that a medical examiner would be able to identify male or female, but there's no information here. Cumberland County Sheriff's deputies were called to the entrance of Mount Roosevelt Wildlife Management Area. Now, there is a Mount Roosevelt, it's not called the Wildlife Management on Google Maps. Not that he's incorrect in his statement here. It's just that when you type that into the Google Maps, it doesn't quite pull up that way. It pulls up like this forestry area. But either way, somebody, thank you, Charlie, for reminding us it's still somebody's family member that was found out there. But it does sound like, and for all intents and purposes, this is somebody that it's going to take a little longer to identify. So Cumberland County Sheriff's deputies were called to the entrance of Mount Roosevelt Wildlife Management after receiving a report of skeletal remains discovered in the vicinity. The remains were collected for further analysis. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigations is working to identify the remains and determine the circumstances surrounding the discovery. They will seek DNA and match up against missing persons and an examination by the medical examiner. More to come. The problem I have with this more to come situation is this is like the third set of remains that have been discovered. If you guys remember earlier in the case, there was a 16-year-old boy that was discovered. And that sent us all into a panic, an absolute panic. And it was not Sebastian. But we never heard any more about it. When we tried to do some research a couple weeks later, there was nothing about it. There was no name attached to it. There was nothing. Now, I don't know, all this time later, whether that has changed or not. But for the time being, we have a 16-year-old boy that was in wasn't it like a graveyard or something like that, or close to a graveyard? A mom and her daughter found this person, and then right on the outside there was another person. It was a little insane there for a little bit, but I'm telling you, people's hearts went into their stomach because of the age of the kid, and Sebastian being 15 when he disappeared. 15, 16, is there really a whole lot of difference? In some cases, no, there's not. But I did check into this a little bit more just to see, maybe we can make heads or tails of who this might be by searching maybe Cumberland County's missing persons. And I accidentally got North Carolina, which didn't help because it wasn't it. But I did want to show you guys some things that were available that I did find related to missing persons and the possibility of them. But so far, everything that's really at the top have been found safely. So this guy here disappeared on September. He was found safely. This lady here disappeared, but she was found in the Cumberland River. This man was found safe. He was missing. So I'm trying to go through all of these things where, has somebody not been found? And quite frankly, not from that county. I'm not saying that it's not something, because we don't know how long they've been there. So this could be a cold case dating back years and years and years. Joe Clyde Daniels' remains were never found in Tennessee, Samantha said. In what county, Samantha, let me just look up Joe Clyde Daniels. Hold on. Let's see. Daniels. Daniels. Okay, so Tennessee 2008, his dad has been charged with his murder. He was seen in off Garner's Creek Road, Dixon, Tennessee. Hold on, guys. All right, guys, sorry about that. It was just my neighbor. Okay, so Joe Clyde Daniels, he's in Dickinson. Dixon, is it Dixon? Dixon, Tennessee. Let's see how far Dixon, Tennessee is from Cumberland County. Directions, Dixon, Tennessee. Actually, that could be, honestly, it could be doable, because it's only 2 to 3 hours away to be the child. So he was disappeared from Dixon, Tennessee. It's within 2 hours and 51 minutes from there. So that could be a possibility. We also have, Summer Wells is missing, but this might be an adult. And they said skeleton remains. So that tells me that they've been there a significant amount of time. How long would it take in cold weather? I don't even want to put a thought into the time of everything, but I feel like it would be at least more than a year, or right about that. But hello, guys. If you're just tuning in, Nick Barris, a couple hours ago, and some people had brought it to my attention, had stated that there is skeletal remains and an investigation going on in Cumberland County. I'm learning that Cumberland County is somebody saying Joe Clyde Daniels, which is a possibility, from Dixon, Tennessee. That's within 2 hours, 2 hours and 50 minutes to 3 hours and 3.25 hours, whatever you want to call it, from Dixon, Tennessee. And also, we can't forget that, not that it is, and I want to make sure that everybody knows that it is not we don't have any information to put it to Sebastian, and I did have a disclaimer up front. But just I know people are going to ask, what is the time frame from Hendersonville? Because people would like to know, and it's about 2 hours, 2.5 hours from Sebastian's home. So we've got a lot of possibilities with this. It may not even be somebody from their community. It could be somebody from a neighboring state coming over to dump. It could be somebody that's homeless, that tried to, weigh it out in the Christmas, or the winter season. There's a lot of possibilities. I just don't want people jumping right to the bandwagon of it being Sebastian, because we have to remember his father watches a lot, and we can't make that assumption. There are other possibilities for these remains, and ones that we haven't even thought of. And with them being skeleton, like I said, it sounds like they have been there for a really, really long time. We don't know that for sure. We have to wait for some more information. I pray that this one we do get more information for, but please don't start. I know some of you guys do have contact. If it's Sebastian, people will know, okay? But I think for whatever reason, like deep in my gut, it's telling me that it's another case, and it's something that probably is a little bit older that we forgot about or didn't even realize happened. I don't know why I'm feeling that way, but that's just kind of how I feel about this. I feel like if it was like a juvenile or something like that, that they would have said juvenile, and it's my understanding the skull tells a lot. So as long as they have the skull, they should be able to determine the age. And I have a funny feeling we're going to find out that this is a much older person, and probably somebody that's been missing for a significant amount of time, probably a little bit longer than Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. So that's just my opinion. I don't really have a whole lot on it. I saw this come through. I saw several emails come through, and I thought, oh, before somebody starts, going out here and going a little crazy with this story, I thought maybe we just jump on and, just have a little conversation here about the reality of this information. And the reality of this information is that it probably isn't Sebastian. Even though it's within 2 hours away and closer proximity, I just don't believe that we're going to find this to be the case. What we can do is we can pray over the family of this loved one, because no matter how you look at any of this stuff, when you find remains of any kind that are human, you know that a family lost somebody that they loved. And that is very heartbreaking in and of itself. And although we don't know who this person is, we can definitely say a prayer over them and a prayer over their family, because I can't imagine what getting some kind of, even when your family members are out there, alcohol, substance abuse and other things like that, their family still loves them, even if their families ever had to let them go. So they can just, live the life that they want to live the way they want to live it. But you just can't watch it because you love that person, and seeing them like that breaks your heart. Sometimes you just got to set healthy boundaries, even with your own family. And sometimes there's just got to be where you cut something off. It doesn't mean you don't love them. It means you have to love them from a distance, because their surrounding is toxic. And you love yourself enough to understand you have to love them from a distance. It doesn't mean you stop loving them. It means that their presence and their condition is breaking your heart so much you can't have that relationship you once had. In some cases, the person that you knew years ago, that you grew up with, your mom, your dad, your sisters, your brothers, are unrecognizable at times. So we don't know if that's the case of this. But either way you look at it, somebody lost their life. Somebody was just found, and somebody's family is going to be getting some pretty devastating news. So let's just have prayer for them. If there's even a hint that it's, Sebastian or any other cases that we've covered, I promise you, we will come live and let you know. But this is significant in the case that we're at. We're all just trying to find out what happened to Sebastian, and we're keeping our ears to the ground. We're keeping our eyes to the ground, and we just want resolution. So we don't know who this is, but what we can do is we can say a prayer over this and pray to God, as awful as it sounds, that it isn't him, right? That it is someone else. Again, that's pretty awful. It's pretty awful, but it's somebody. It's somebody. But it's just sad. I don't know what else to say. So, guys, just keep everybody in your prayers and pray over this stranger, because somebody's going to be having terrible news. If they can't identify this person, that the identity will be coming soon. So these people don't even realize their family member is missing or deceased, most likely. But we can always have prayer for people that are suffering, and keep our fingers crossed that this isn't Sebastian. We don't know that either. I'm just playing devil's advocate here, because we've had so many times that people and remains have been found and they haven't been Sebastian, which is a good thing. It's a double-edged sword, because you almost want closure for this case, but you don't want that type of closure. And every time it's not him, it gives us hope to continue to go forward, that he could be out there somewhere healthy and just needing to be reunited with his father. And that's the hope we need to hold on to. We're coming up on his 1-year milestone, which is not anything any parent should have to celebrate when it comes to their child. Going to work like it was a normal day, and by the time you get off work, your entire life changes. I can't even imagine that kind of feeling. It's got to be the most unnerving, sickening feeling you could ever have to deal with, and then to deal with it day after day after day after day with no resolution. We almost want resolution, but not this way. So let's just keep our fingers crossed and our prayer hands up, and let's just pray over this whole darn situation. Because to be honest with you, I don't ever want to find out that he remains. So I'm naturally going to side with it's not him, because I don't want to ever let my mind think that way. We're not there yet. I have my opinions. I have my theories. But that's just all they are, as opinions and theories. It's not like I'm sitting here waiting for them to come true. But please just be careful with what you hear about these remains until we have more information. They're not Sebastian. They have nothing to do with Sebastian. And hopefully the family that hasn't had answers finally gets their answers. So that's the positive message that we're going to try to put out there. And we're going to try to make, find the silver lining in all of this. But just be careful with what you hear out there and who's saying it. We have no information. So no news is good news, okay, in a situation that we're in with Sebastian Rogers. No news is good news. So, all right, guys, God bless you. I didn't mean to come on here. I saw this. I didn't want it to get out of control. I didn't want to feed the beast. So I've looked into this. I've looked into who it could be. We've read the message. It could be, for people that are just tuning in, this is what has been posted on Nick Barris's site. There's a skeleton investigation. That means, to me, it sounds like somebody's been there for a while, probably more over a year, right? And Cumberland County Sheriff's deputies were called out to the entrance of a Mount Roosevelt Wildlife Management Area after receiving a report of skeletal remains discovered in the vicinity. The remains were collected for further analysis. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation is working to identify the remains and determine the circumstances surrounding the discovery. They will seek DNA and match up against missing persons by an examination by the medical examiner. More to come. That's what we have right now. It's very, very vague, folks. We don't know if it's a child, if it's an adult, if it's an adolescent. We don't know if they have the entire skeletal remains. We don't know if it's male or female. So we have literally no information. This is all we have. Definitely nothing that we can really, figure it out. I tried to look up who was missing in Cumberland County. It seems like everybody that has been missing in that particular county in Tennessee has been found safe. But again, only one person so far has been found deceased, and it was this lady, and that's in the last few months. And she was found in Lake Cumberland. So other people, they've all been found, whether they've been found deceased or not, but they've all been found. So I can't make heads or tails of who it could be. You know, but I just feel right now, I think it would be premature and inappropriate to try to identify who these are. It sounds like they have been there a very long time. I don't know how long, though. I mean, but we are talking about skeletal remains, okay? So we're just coming off a cold snap. If you guys need to understand biology, when it's cold, your body is slower to break down, okay? When it's hotter, it speeds it up, okay? We just came out of a cold snap. We're talking about skeletal remains. Skeletal remains means, to me, when I hear that statement, I'm hearing very, very little, if at all, tissue of any kind. You're just talking about bone. That's what I do. When I hear skeletal remains, that's what I hear. So if we're just coming off of a cold, and we did, and it's been fairly, not so hot in Tennessee. They do have some hotter weather, Tennessee hot. There is some pretty brutal summers, but that still tells you at least a summer ago. Okay. But I do believe it's something that's been there longer, because even if it was the last summer, I still feel like there would be a lot more there than what they're describing. And the limited lettering that describes what they found, it just seems like there would have been more. That's all I'm saying. I wouldn't be surprised if this is something that goes back a few years. We just don't know. But I will keep you guys posted. And again, we don't know. Even somebody brought up Joe Clyde Daniels, a young boy, 4 years old, right? We don't even know if it's him. He's only 2 hours away from this location, 2 to 3 hours away from this location as well. But their description, you would think, because he was 4, you would be able to tell if it was a child's, remains, as you can imagine. They're tiny, they're small, human beings. Even me, I'm 5 foot, but you'd be able to tell. If I was skeletal remains, you'd be able to tell I'm a middle-aged woman just by my skull and the seam in my skull and how far apart it is. I mean, it's pretty interesting. There's a lot of telltale signs. They can tell that I'm female by my pelvis and the makeup of my pelvis cavity. It's different than a male's pelvis cavity. So there's a lot of stuff that they can tell with just the naked eye, but they are absolutely withholding that information, even if they know who it is. But to be honest with you, law enforcement may not know who this is, because it sounds like all their missing people from their specific county is accounted for. Unless this dates back years, right? Now, if it dates back years, which it's possible it could, then we would have lost track of who it could have possibly be. And I'm sure over the years, it could be literally anyone. So anyways, guys, I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you for coming and hanging out and learning a little more about this breaking news of skeletal remains in Cumberland County. We are monitoring the situation. Hopefully we'll find out who it is and can pray over that specific person and their family once this person is named. We don't know if there's foul play involved. This could have been something like a homeless person out there in the animal wildlife or whatever it is, and just living off the land, and just had a really, really bad winter and maybe couldn't withstand the winter. I've heard cases like that before, where there's nothing to see over here. It just is a person succumbing to the weather and just not having a place to stay. It could be somebody that might have went out there kind of like what's her name? Miller, the lady, John Paul's wife, Micah, that went out there and nobody realized That's what they were going out there to do. There's a million possibilities. So just if you guys do hear something, please send it to me. bullhornbetty@gmail.com, bullhornbetty@gmail.com. I won't lie. This kind of stuff does make me nervous. You know, I like to read something and usually I can make heads or tails of it. But, you know, anytime you see this in your inbox, your heart goes to your stomach, you know. And of course, naturally, I look into it and I'm just, you know, there's nothing yet. There's nothing yet. So let's not make something out of nothing. You know, that's just my stance on this right now. So just pray. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks for being here. We'll chat soon. From the East Coast to the West Coast, we are everywhere true crime is. We are asking for the public's help. We are searching in the woods. We are doing what it takes here on the Bullhorn Betty channels to find answers to the most alarming cases we have been watching on the news. I can tell you personally that I have traveled this entire country seeking these answers and bringing that content right here to you here on the Bullhorn Betty channels and Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. We are happy with the work that we've done. We brought many answers to the public, and we have defied mainstream media in our pursuit of the truth in these cases. We will continue to work, we will continue to fight for these victims, and we will continue to tell their stories here on my channels. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty brand of channels and the Coffee Club. Thank you for your love, thank you for your support, and more importantly, thank you for allowing me to bring these victims' stories to each and every one of you, advocating for each of these victims. God bless you, God bless America, and more importantly, God bless our victims.